Stampers, this is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations, and I'm here today with another Facebook Live. And today we're going to be making a Valentine's Day card, and I'm doing a little bit of a fancy fold. And don't panic, it's not going to be hard at all. As soon as I show it to you, it's going to be much more simplified. But this is a way to wow somebody without really doing anything really too difficult. So I'm going to invite you to join me as we pop down onto my desk and give this card a whirl. This is the suite we're playing with today. It's called the Love You Always. It's on page 10 and 11 in the new mini catalog that will run January through June. So we're just kind of getting into this one. We're in month 2. And this is a fantastic suite in that it comes with 2 different bundles. It's got 2 different specialty papers and DSP, 2 different elements, boxes, ribbon. I mean, it has it all. And if you're one of those that says, oh my gosh, I have to have it all, Stampin' Up! Has these great little suite collection item numbers. And so if you're saying, I want everything on that page, I have to have it all, you can always pick the suite collection. Otherwise, don't forget that you can still buy them in bundles. And when you buy the dies and the stamp set together, it will save you 10%. I'm also using the Heart Punch Pack, which is actually out of our annual catalog. And that's these 2 right here. Now I could have used dies. The girl I watched to do this video actually did do dies. And I just thought, I'm trying to make things simple for you guys. I want you guys to have kind of a wow look without being complicated. And to me, punches are just that much simpler for those of you that are out there that might be beginners. Now, again, if you want to wow it up and you want to have more detail, go for it. If you've got the dies, fabulous. If you don't, punches are quick and easy. So here is the card base. Like I said, you're going to have a standard card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I've got 2 of the 4 by 5 1/4 layers in the Whisper White, basic white now. And then I have one in the Specialty Designer Series paper, again 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then one that's just a little bit smaller. So this one is 3 3/4 by 5. Then you're going to grab a piece of scrap cardstock, 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, and we're going to cut it diagonal. You can, measure across, measure up, do a diagonal cut. That's up to you. But I found, because we're going to use this as a template, that it might be just as easy to cut it in half down the middle. So you're only cutting a rectangle with your trimmer. And we're going to lay it in here. And like I said, we're going to run the point in the track. So we're going to go completely diagonal. Now, I don't want to slide into that point because I run the risk of smashing it. And I don't want to smash the point. So I'm going to start out with my blade in the middle. And then I'm going to go down and then I'm going to go up. And so this will still get me the diagonal, but with nice pointy corners. Now, I said I was making this a template, so it might be a good idea to glue the 2 of them together, just making it a little thicker. So I'm going to set this on here, and I'm going to make the 3 1/2 go on the long way and the 2 3/4 go on the short way. Okay, so I'm going to just take a pencil, and I'm going to do just a very slight pencil line. So since this is this corner, I want it to be this corner because we want it to be kind of mirrored. If this helps, you can open it up to show yourself that it's going here. And we're going diagonal. And then this time we're going to move the cutting blade out of the way and we're going to use the scoring blade. And then I'm just scoring. Then I'm going to lay it in the track this way. And I'm kind of watching, I've got the point of it up here. I can see where that's in my track, but then I'm just keeping the rest of it in the groove of the track, in this clear part, so that I'm sure I'm lined up. So now I've got it scored on both of them. And I can come back in and erase my pencil marks. Then we're just going to crease these. And so I'm being very careful and kind of pushing not quite all the way to the corner. I'm making sure this is good and flat. Burnish it with my bone folder, but I'm not going to go all the way into the tip quite yet. So now that I've got those two, now I can fold it together, and now we can crease that point. And now we're going to cut the layers so that we can layer them on there. And you're thinking, okay, well, this has got that weird point off the corner and these don't yet, but that's okay. We're going to bring back in our little template. And we know this one is going to go on the front, or actually this one's going to go on the front. We're going to go white first. And we know that we want to lop off that corner. So I'm going to go ahead and line up my template again. And we can either lay it in the trimmer or you can use your paper snips and cut along the edge. Again, this is where if this piece is thicker, it's going to give you more to rest up against and make this that much easier to cut with paper snips. Or absolutely use your trimmer if that's going to be more accurate for you. Now this piece is going to go right here. This is going to be the inside we're going to stamp our sentiment on. So again, we could make a pencil mark and trim with the trimmer, or whack it off with the scissors. And then this larger piece, now for this, it's not going to matter too much because there's not a pattern, there's not a direct side that we specifically want to be using, but we want this corner this time. So that's going to fit there, and this will fit here. We've got the one for the outside, and then this is that slightly smaller one. And we're going to go ahead and do the same cut because we already have the 1/4 inch taken off of it. So when we take this exact same angle, it's still going to match up, even though we're going to now have a border. And then this is where I would probably use some liquid glue so I can make sure that I've got it good and centered. That doesn't want to come out. I guess it doesn't want us to do that. Whenever you're worried about centering something, I always suggest the liquid glue because it gives you what we call wiggle room. Now, if you're comfortable with it, absolutely use the seal. I do appreciate the fact that it dries really quickly and I can move on to the next step. It's just you have to be very precise when laying it down because once it sticks, it sticks. You also want to make sure that you're breaking it off towards the top. You'll notice at the beginning I had to get it started with my finger. That's because it didn't break off in the right spot. We want it to break off up here at the tip. And so that's why my rolling it this way helps it break off up here instead of back here where it won't actually grab next time I go to use it. And again, this is something if I was to look straight down from the top, you always get a much better angle looking straight at it instead of like I'm doing at an angle. I've been doing this long enough that I kind of know the border I want. And once I can line up one corner, then I can just let the rest fall down. But I hold it kind of up at an angle until it grabs. Like I said, I'm going to hold it at an angle. It's not touching. I'm kind of going this way, making sure I've got this lined up decent. Then I'll come across and make sure this one's even. Then I'll let that one go down. So it's kind of falling in order, if that makes sense. Okay, now these pieces you'll notice don't quite fit. I guess that was the one from the front. They're a little too big, but that's an easy fix. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in our trimmer and we're going to cut 1/2 inch. Now it sounds a little funny because you're going, okay, 1/2 inch, why aren't we doing 1/4 inch since we want a 1/4 inch border, which, you know, we could. Yeah, that still works. Okay, so we can do 1/4 inch, but we just wanted to make it a little bit smaller so that it's got that border around the edge. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. And that can go here. And so that's leaving the ridge where the fold is open so that it can go back and forth. And I probably should have stamped this first. I always try to remind you guys, and then I forget constantly, that we usually want to stamp before adhering so that we are sure that our stamping is good before it's adhered to the card. So I'm going to bring in this Forever and Always. There's love. And then I'm going to use You More. That's something I say to my husband all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on the inside. And I'm just kind of placing it where I want it and making sure that they're, you know, aligned. And I'm going to pick it up. Now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to look and make sure that I'm happy with the way things fall on my grid. I want the lines on the grid to underline the words and have them even so that I know they're not wonky. And we're using Blushing Bride, so I'll bring in that ink. And then we're all going to hold our breath and hope this goes smoothly. So this is where, again, I think that liquid glue may have been good on the corners because you could add a dot into the corners. I have this bad habit of leaving them on my desk as I'm working, and then the hole tends to dry up. See, with the liquid glue, I can go way into these corners and make sure they're not lifting. And then I don't know if you guys have seen, I have another video out there on these little containers I have on my desk that holds all my little doodads. Because of course the glue works best when it is puddled up at the top. So there is a YouTube video out there on how to make those. So we're really close to done on our card. We're going to do a little bit of decorating. And for that, I'm going to bring in those punches we were talking about. And so I'm going to use the scallop on our Blushing Bride foil. And I want 2 for the outside and 1 for the inside. So I'm going to do 3. And then the straight heart will fit right inside of that scallop. So I'm going to do 3 more. Now, the reason I went with the seal on these ones is because if you get a little bit of the liquid glue on the foil, it kind of takes away the shininess. If you have an adhesive remover, that helps take it off, but I find the adhesive remover works fabulous on cardstock, kind of so-so on the foils. I like my alignment a whole lot better when I line up this way because I can watch that I'm hitting this point down here and then making it even in here. And that makes the rest of it fall where it should. So there is our 3 hearts. Like I said, 2 are going to go on the outside. I'm going to put 1 inside. And I'm going to put it right here. And I only want it to have adhesive on that bottom part. And I want to make sure that when I go to close it, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't hit this part. You know what I mean? I'm falling within the crease here. When I go this way, I'm not, you know, if it was a bigger element, there's the risk it could pop off this side, but I think we're good. Give it some good firm pressure. And there we have that popping heart. And then we're going to put 2 on the outside. Now this is where I use my grid paper again. I love the grid paper. It has so many uses. And one of the things I want to do is I want to set my card on here. Now I'm lining up with the 5.5 line here and, you know, the 4 1/4 down here, because this is where the card would normally be. If it was a full-size card, it would go all the way out to these dark lines. Now, the reason I'm pointing that out is that we want to make sure when we adhere these hearts that they're not over and above those lines, because if they were to go over those lines, this card's not going to fit in the envelope. So we want to make sure as we're laying them on there that they fit inside those lines. I mean, we can move them around and adjust them however we want, as long as they're pretty close to being inside those lines so that it still goes in the envelope. And again, only adhesive on the bottom. We don't want to stick it to my tabletop. So there's our 2 hearts. And then I want a little bow right here. And so that's when the little handy dandy bow maker tool comes in. My husband made this for me and people asked about it, so it is for sale on my blog. And I used to put my end of my ribbon in here with a glue dot, and I found out that after a while it was too far down there. I couldn't get it off. So now I wrap all of mine to the outside and put a glue dot here if I want it to stay put on my spool, because when I put them in the drawer, they have a tendency to go everywhere and that drives me crazy. So if you don't mind it going everywhere, that's fine, but it bugged the heck out of me. So I'm going to make a little bow. So I'm going to keep the two of them just one hole apart. And then I'm running it behind the two pegs. And then I'm going to crisscross and make kind of a, it's kind of like those cancer ribbons. And then I'm going to feed this between. So it's going to go to the back. I'm going to pull it a little bit taut, and then I'm going to pull this over the top. And then I'm just going to make a knot. And then it just slides off. And there I have my perfect bow. Okay, and then of course you want to have a separate set of scissors for your ribbon because they do cut differently than paper. And it doesn't necessarily dull the scissors, but if you use your ribbon scissors on cardstock or your cardstock scissors on ribbon, they're not going to work as well. And then I have a tendency to put the ribbons on with glue dots because the glue dots are thicker, and so they give a little more cushion underneath to make sure they're good and attached. And I always put it under the knot, and if the tails are not behaving properly for me, I might put additional ones underneath the tails. That bow just did not work right, did it? There's a much prettier one. This is what it looks like when I'm not on camera. But here's our card. Of course, all of these supplies can be purchased in my online store. We are a little more than halfway through Celebration, and so if you're wanting to earn some free product, now would be the time to place an order, and for each $50 that you spend, you earn a level 1 free item, and they cannot be purchased separately. They have to be earned with a qualifying order. There's these cute little donkeys. I turned that into Eeyore recently. That's going to go on my blog soon because I have to show you the adorable little Eeyore that Wendy made for me for my birthday. But these are all $50 qualifying free products. And then there's a couple extras that are free with a $100 order. And this is only good through the end of the month. So if you want to pick up these adorable little designer series papers, stamp sets, all of that, you can only get it through Celebration. And then if you were to host a party or place an order over $300, then you also get this punch party pack in addition to the free hostess rewards you already get. So of course, if you have any questions about that, let me know. If you have a wish list that's much longer than your budget, then you may want to consider joining Stampin' Up. Again, during Celebration, they have the normal fantastic deal of joining for $99. You pick out $125 of your own picking, whatever you want to choose out of the catalog, and then they're going to give you 5 packs of designer series paper for free. And these are papers that will be in the new annual catalog that comes out in May. So just want to let you know that that's the best deal out there. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you Thursday at Coffee and Cards. Bye.